into different sections such as a brief introduction of the poet, followed by the recitation of the poem, themes such as despair and isolation and transitions, religious undertones, technical aspects, and we've also discussed the landscape of the poem. As the video adopts a conversational tone, join us as we go deep into the exploration of the poem.
Hello friends, I am a rendition of Thomas Hardy. I was born on 2nd June 1840 in the English village of Blackhampton in the county of Dorset. My youth was influenced by my father's musicality, which later on influenced my artistic works. I quit my formal education when I was 16 due to the financial restraints of my family. I moved to London in 1862, where I worked as an architectural apprentice until my late 70s. I always thought of myself as more of a poet, but I always enjoyed writing stories and novels. I have written about 900 poems, over 50 short stories, and about more than 15 novels in my lifetime. I died battling pleurisy on 11 January 1928, after which my ashes were laid in Westminster Abbey's Poets' Corner, while my heart was laid next to my wife, Emma. I emerged into the literary scene, weaving tales that captured the essence of rural life and the intricacies of human relationship. As the currents of the time carried me through the 19th and the 20th century, I became a witness to the profound changes that reshaped the society. My works are often tinged with a sense of melancholy, which sought to capture the echoes of the bygone era, while confronting the challenges of the present and with a hopeful future. The Darkling Thrush stands as a testament to my exploration of the human spirit and the ever-shifting landscapes of hope and despair.
I leant upon a coppice gate when frost was spectre grey, and winter's dregs made desolate the weakening eye of day. The tangled vine stems scored the sky like strings of broken lyres. All mankind that haunted nigh had sought their household fires. The land's sharp features seemed to be the century's corpse outlined. His creep, the cloudy canopy, the wind, his death lament. The ancient pulse of germ and birth was shrunken, hard and dry, and every spirit upon earth seemed powerless as I. At once a voice arose among the bleak twigs overhead in a full-hearted evensong of joy illimited. An aged thrush, frail, gowned, and small, in blast-beruffled plume, had chosen thus to fling his soul upon the growing gloom. So little things for carolings of such aesthetic sound was written on terrestrial things, afar or night around, that I could think there trembled through his happy good night air some blessed hope whereof he knew, and I was unaware.
Bleak imagery covers the entire poem. The aura of sadness and grief cripples the reader in each stanza. Landmass is covered in the frost of winter. Sun seems bowing down to the majestic winter. leaving its scorching heat in the summer. Spectre grey imprints the mind with gloominess and sadness. Curves in the mountains are bold, sharp, and lifeless. Bubbly clouds are dark and melancholic, looking straight at the desolate winter landscape. Our poet Hardy paints it as the cemetery where the winter breeze laments the dying generation. The addition of the house on the side of the landscape shows countryside. Poem completes with the thrush that arises from the bleak twigs.
The poem explores the theme of despair and isolation through vivid imageries and portrayal of a bleak and desolate landscape. Hardy uses words like spectre grey, corpse, and crypt to create an atmosphere of lifelessness and coldness, setting the tone of despair. His description of the landscape as the century's corpse and its crypt symbolizes the end of an era, the 19th century, and his disillusionment and uncertainty for the upcoming future.
The thrush, which is often associated with songs of vitality, is aged, frail, and singing alone. This juxtaposition of the thrush song with the bleak surrounding creates a sense of him being apart from the rest of the world. Just as the thrush is alone, so is the speaker of the poem. He is alone outside, while all the others are beside the fire in their household. These feelings of isolation is projected onto the world around him. The clouds are gloomy, while the winds blow a death lament. A depressing and lonely mood permeates the whole poem. In this way, Hardy portrays a sense of despair and isolation in the poem.
So look here, how is the Darkling thrush a transitional poem?
Well, transition in the sense that it's like a bridge between the 19th century Victorian age and the 20th century modern one. The Victorian age was called the Golden Age for the British Empire. There was a huge shift in the aspects of economy, politics, social and culture. However, this rapid change in pace led to disruption in the life of the masses. There was confusion and skepticism all over the country. Because of this, there was pessimism everywhere in the nation. And this pessimism is reflected in Hardy's Darkling thrush.
And how is it reflected in the poem?
I can give you like 3 key points where his pessimism is well reflected. The first one is the desolate landscape with the coppice gate. And then the second one is with words like frost and winter. And the last one is the most evident one. His analogy with the century as a corpse is the most definite and the most crystal clear one. How he sees the Victorian age as an age of decay and death. But in spite of all this pessimism, he still retains some hope for the future. To him, there is still a silver lining for the coming generation. And the most iconic of this is his representation of the image of the Darkling thrush. For him, the thrush is the embodiment of the hope, and how he sees that in spite of all this chaos, pessimism and skepticism in life, there can still be some hope for the coming generation. And lastly, this transition can also be reflected in Hardy's own life. When Hardy was writing this poem, he was 60 and well over the past of his prime. So this transition from youth to the old age can also be seen. And then another transition is how he had transitioned from writing novels to writing poetry.
Thank you, Lucky. On the face of it, this poem is not about religion. But let us explore some of the ways in which a religious interpretation can be enabled. Beginning with the time Hardy was writing this work, it was a time where huge scientific advancements were being made, and this kind of compromised the religious faith of the time. It
was in a way a sort of decline of culture as well as religion. Now this decline is seen throughout the poem as Hardy employs bleak and desolate imageries of the landscape and such. Now Hardy attempts to renew this religious faith by introducing the singing thrush. The thrush is described as engaged in singing, and the singing is called an even song by Hardy. This even song is actually an Anglican church ritual where the believers gather in church during evening time and they sit together in prayer or in chanting or even songs. Furthermore, this religious faith is also reinforced by words such as carolings, which is a religious celebration, as well as blessed. Now we come to the second last line of the poem where it says, "Some blessed hope." If you see the poem, you can see that the H in hope is capitalized. Now this is a further reinforcement to the religious nature of the poem. These words are also a direct quotation from the Bible, where it says in Titus chapter 2 verse 13, "While we wait for the blessed hope, the appearing of the glory of our great God and Savior Jesus Christ." Now, coincidentally, these words are also part of the scheduled reading of the tradition of the evensong in the Anglican Church. So, you can see that there is a relation of the religion in the poem, and these are the ways that religious interpretation for the poem can be argued by us. Thank you.
In the poem, Hardy also employs various poetic devices, such as symbolism. The thrush symbolizes hope and renewal, contrasting with its bleak surrounding. Hardy also uses vivid imagery to depict the bleak winter landscape. The poem also personifies the year as it is dying, which adds to the melancholic theme of the poem, which also reflects Hardy's reflection on the time. The juxtaposition of the desolate landscape and the hopeful song of the thrush creates an irony, undercovering the complexity of human experiences. This devices contributes to the overall impact and shaping of the tone and conveying Hardy's contemplation on the transition between the old and the new. This poem also employs various poetic devices such as symbolism. The thrush symbolizes hope and renewal, contrasting with the bleakness of its surrounding. Hardy also uses vivid imagery depicting the desolate winter landscape. The poem personifies the year, presenting it as dying, which adds a sense of melancholy and reflects Hardy's reflection on the passing of time. The juxtaposition of the desolate landscape and the joyful song of the thrush creates an irony, overscoring the complexity of human experiences.
So, this was our take on the poem The Darkling Thrush. We have tried to be informative with our words, and with themes our content was very specific. Our video highlights many of the important events which Hardy has delivered in the poem, and the reason we chose this poem is because it has many things to offer that are still relevant in a contemporary world.